Before we get started with today's video, I have an announcement to make. After years of telling other people's stories, I finally released one of my own. My novel Eternal Reign is available now in both ebook and paperback format for those of you who are like me and prefer to collect physical media. You can grab a copy right now on Amazon through the link in the description of this video. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Jihuntel's been looking for the Warrior of Light, and because this is how stories work, she shows up right on time. Since you last saw him, he's been training members of the God's Quiver, and the experience has made his songs more powerful, which he thinks will help you out too. Since anything that makes you stronger is always high on your priority list, the Warrior of Light goes with him to Gridania, where there's a guy that he wants to introduce you to. The guy's name is Samson, a captain in the Order of the Twin Adder who is very interested in the power of songs. He wants to set up a new unit of the Twin Adders that adds bards to the mix, because he thinks that will make the soldiers more effective. Because of that, he went to the God's Quiver to see if they were willing to work with him. They weren't all that interested in the idea since they aren't all that sure about how powerful the bard songs actually are, and they'll rather focus on the surefire ways of fighting like filling people up with arrows. But that little delay didn't stop Samson from trying harder. He studied old tomes and even talked to the moogles to find some evidence of Bard's usefulness in battle. What he found are hints about a song that's supposed to have the power to instantly end a battle. It's called the Ballad of Oblivion, and Samson figures that if he can find it, he'll be able to convince them that he's right about the bards. He's about to have a meeting with the Quiver at that very moment, and since he is about to talk about the bards, Jihuntel figures that the two of you being at the meeting couldn't hurt, so you follow him. The Quiver still isn't convinced, although the prospect of a song that is basically an I win button for battle does sound interesting. Samson says the song comes from somewhere in Western Kurthus, and he wants to go and find it. He just needs the Quiver to send a bard with him since he isn't exactly the most musically inclined person. They're willing to send someone with him, but Jihuntel only just started training the troops, so there aren't exactly a lot of bards to choose from. Even so, every soldier is needed, so before the Quiver sends anyone off with Samson, they want to see if he's physically fit enough to lead an expedition, so they want him and the bard that they're going to send with them to deal with a few enraged treants out in the Twelveswood. Jihuntel doesn't think the Quiver is planning on sending anyone at all, so he wants you to join Samson's expedition and help him pass this little trial, as well as help him hunt down the ballad. While Samson did need your help to deal with the creatures, the Quiver hadn't hung him out to dry. They did send a bard to help him. His name is Gidelo, and apparently he's not high up on the list of Samson's favorite people. That's probably because he seems kind of annoying, while Samson is a bit uptight. However, he is one of Jihuntel's best students, so while his personality is lacking in pretty much every area, his skills are top notch. So if the two men can keep from killing each other, then the mission might actually turn out okay. With the trial done, you all head back to Gridania to let the Quiver know that it's over and done with, which officially gets Samson's expedition sanctioned. So the Warrior of Light, Gidelo, and Samson head off to Ishgard to get their hunt for the Ballad of Oblivion underway. When you get to the city, Samson gets right on hunting for information about the song, while Gidelo heads off to do the more important work of tracking down some friendly Ishgardian women. It doesn't take long for his womanizing to cause Samson some problems. One woman that he was flirting with said that her boyfriend had a better singing voice than Gidelo, which made the bard jealous, so he left the city to track the boyfriend down and prove that he is in fact not a better singer than him. The boyfriend's actually a knight, so Samson thinks he's likely to stab Gidelo if he bothers him, so the two of you head off to Falcon's Nest to find the bard before he gets himself killed. The knight you're looking for is out on patrol and Gidelo went out after him, but his unit should have been back by now, which means something bad has happened. So the Warrior of Light and Samson head out to see what you can find. You find Gidelo helping the knights fight off some wild animals, and after you help them deal with things, you find out that what Samson thought the bard was doing was completely the opposite of what actually happened. The knight's girlfriend had been so excited about some news that she had wanted to get a message to her boyfriend, and Gidelo had decided to deliver it. That news was she's pregnant. While Gidelo had been in the taverns, he had heard the stories about a knight who spent a lot of time singing, so he went to ask his girlfriend about him. The woman had been hard to get information out of since she was so excited about the news, so Gidelo had decided to just go talk to the man himself, which turned out to be for the best because if he hadn't been there, it was very likely that the child would have been growing up without a dad. Since the knight's a fan of music, he's heard of a woman who sings songs that sends the souls to the heavens, which could be the Ballad of Oblivion that you're looking for, and since you helped him out, he'll try to find the woman, and when he does, he'll let you all know. Even though Gidelo's little side mission turned out to be a step in the right direction, Samson still finds a way to complain about it. Gitalo, however, is good at ignoring people, so he heads back to the city while Sanson keeps blabbering on and on about how they're a team, and they should both be hunting for the ballad together. What he actually means is you all should be doing it the way that he thinks it should be done. But since the bard makes it pretty clear that he's not going to do that, the two do their own thing until the knight sends news on your next target. The woman that the knight mentioned is a soldier stationed at the convictory, so once Sanson gets that news, you all head over there to talk to her. Her name is Selene, and she flat out refuses to sing the song for you all. Not only does she not want to, she doesn't have the time. The dragon numbers in the area have been growing steadily, and a group is getting ready to go out and deal with them. Thinking on his feet, Sanson decides to volunteer you all to help them with the dragons so you can be close just in case Selene starts to sing the song. You help with the creatures, but that doesn't stop some of the knights from dying in the battle. That's when you learn why Selene didn't want to sing the song in the first place. It's a funeral hymn, not a weapon. So she only sings it when she lays her friends to rest. So naturally she wouldn't have wanted to just sing the song, because once she does, it's probably because someone died. She does admit that she should have told you all that in the first place, which would have saved you some time, but what's done is done. She learned the song from a historian named Silvio, who's out in Tailfeather, so if anyone knows what you're looking for, it'll probably be him, which means it's time for your trio to head off to another area. Silvio's expedition is getting ready to come back in a little while, but things go wrong pretty much as expected. A group of Nath attacked his team and took them captive. Luckily, one of them managed to escape to go and get help, and he just so happened to run into you and the others. Since there's a good chance the Nath are going to sacrifice the people to summon Ravana, you all head off to save them. Doing what you do best, that being making things that are alive transform into a less alive state, you, Sanson, and Gitalo manage to free Silvio. Once you get him back to Tailfeather, he's more than willing to tell you all he knows about the Ballad of Oblivion. Legend says that a saint with the mastery over poetry had the power to end battles with his songs from the heavens. And that's pretty much all the man knows about the ballad. Gitalo's starting to get the feeling that the entire thing is fake, and he thinks it's about time to head back to Gridania. Sanson's not willing to give up, especially since he's pretty sure he knows why the gods Quiver were willing to send him and Gitalo out in the first place. Both men were annoying for one reason or another, and the Quiver wanted them gone. They also want them to fail, which would put an end to Sanson constantly trying to change the way things are run with the bards. So he pretty much can't go back home empty-handed. Gitalo doesn't care one way or another, so as far as he's concerned, Sanson can hunt for the thing himself. He thinks Sanson only sees it as a means to an end and doesn't really care all that much about the song or what it means to be a bard in general, which is part of the reason why Gitalo doesn't really like the man. Sanson wasn't actually trying to be disrespectful though, and while he refuses to admit it, he actually thinks Gitalo is the perfect bard to prove how effective they'll be when paired with other soldiers, since the man is actually talented, but he doesn't know how to tell him that. Regardless, he figures the man will eventually rejoin the hunt. Not like it matters, since at the moment Sanson has no leads. Silvio said the mention of the heavens in the legend was talking about a voice from the sky, which sounds ridiculous, but that's only because he didn't realize that moogles live in the clouds and the churning mist, and the legends could very well be talking about them. Since the moogles sing a lot, that's a real possibility, so Sanson wants you to take him to them after you leave a message with Silvio to tell Gitalo where the two of you are going. You don't have to leave a message at all, since Gitalo is talking to the man when you go to see him. The bard has been watching you and Sanson the whole time, but he didn't hear your conversation about the moogles. Once you tell him about it, Silvio thinks it's a good possibility that they would know about the ballad, and he thinks Gitalo should put his ego aside and go with the two of you to finish the quest. The bard says he'll think about it, but neither you nor Sanson's gonna wait around for him, so you head off to the Churning Mist. Moglin, the leader of the Churning Mist moogles, does know about the Ballad of Oblivion. It's forbidden to moogles, and he had to tell Magda, one of his own bards, to stop looking for it a little while ago. He's clearly not all that focused on keeping the moogle from finding the song though, because he tells you where Magda is, so obviously you and Sanson go to hunt him down. When you find the little moogle and convince him that you're not about to eat him, he's happy to learn that you're both looking for the same thing that he is. It's impossible for him to find the song by himself since it's so dangerous. But since you and Sanson want the same thing, you all team up with him and head back to Mogholm to see if Moglin has changed his mind about telling you more about the ballad. He has, which makes it seem like he really wasn't all that against the idea of you finding it in the first place. Your group seems strong enough to deal with the challenge, but Moglin thinks you're all missing something important. It's your other crew member who still hasn't joined you, although you saw him skulking around behind you a little while ago. Moglin wants to wait for Gitalo to join you before you head off, but after a while it doesn't seem like he's coming, so you decide to continue without him. The legend says that the ballad is in the Sea of Clouds, which means you'll need an airship. so Sanson heads back to Gridania to get one ready for you. Magda pulls you aside when Sanson leaves to let you know that he talked to Gidolo, and the bard has no plans on joining you again. So Magda stole Sanson's journal for you to give to the man since he thinks that might help change his mind. The bard's not all that happy that Magda told you where he was hiding, but he is interested in reading Sanson's journal. The thing is so full of songs that it almost seems like Sanson wishes he were a bard, and that kind of makes Gidolo rethink what he said to the man. It also makes him a bit ashamed of how he treated him, and because of that he doesn't feel like he deserves to be there when you finish your mission. So the Warrior of Light, Sanson, and Magda hop on an airship and head to the spot in the Sea of Clouds where the ballad is supposed to be. As soon as you get there, Magda senses something powerful, which means the ballad is likely there. There's a large stone that Sanson feels is calling to him, but Magda has seen the markings on it before. They're the runes put on a sealing stone meant to lock away something nasty, and those seals break if anyone touches them. The problem is he doesn't tell Sanson this before the man touches the stone, which instantly releases a siren named Legeia. Turns out the Ballad of Oblivion was the siren, and that thing had used its powerful songs to wipe out an entire tribe of moogles, which means you can't let it roam free. Since Sanson let it out, he figures it's his job to stop it, and of course Magda and the Warrior of Light will help him deal with it. As a surprise to no one, Gidolo stowed away on your ship and followed you all there, and he joins the fight to help you bring down the siren. Once the fighting is done, Gidolo shows Sanson his journal, which the man is not exactly happy that he took, especially since he needs to use it to write his report. While he does do everything by the book, Gidolo tells him that writing that their mission to find the song led to freeing an ancient Moogle murderer might be a bad idea. Instead, he can report on how well the bards performed on the mission, and how combining your abilities basically created your own Ballad of Oblivion. Sanson agrees that writing that may be a good idea, but regardless, it's time to head back home, so you all make your way back to Gridania where Sanson goes to make his report, while you tell Jehantel about everything you learned on your trip, and the abilities you gained on the way. This concludes the second part of the Bard storyline. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, comment, share it, and subscribe. Donate to the channel if you can, and I'll see you all next time.